Hey, Capt Logos here, preacher at large, teaching the word and inspiring, 3 minutes at a time. Hey, back in James today, no surprise there. We talked about James a lot this week. But James is building up here, so I'm just going to keep following James and follow the progression. So we talked about being quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. We then talked about the implanted word. We looked at therefore and realized that we had to look back and apply what's back first in that verse before we can to make sure we don't miss anything as we went forward. But James in 1 and 22, it starts with but. Now, when you start with but, you have to not just look back, but you have to add the two together. Right? So what was just said before to what's coming after, right? So he says, but be doers of the word. Now, let me insert here before I get back to the verse that the only way you can be a doer of the word is because you have the implanted word that we talked about yesterday in your heart. The implanted word, not just the word, but the implanted word, that word that has taken root in your heart. Right? Then you'll be a doer. But it says, but be doers of the word. Right? And not hearers only. Because if you are a hearer of the word only and not a doer, you are deceiving yourself. For if anyone is a hearer only and not a doer, he is like the man observing his natural face in the mirror. He sees himself, he leaves, and then he immediately forgets what kind of man he was. Do you know what kind of person you are? Do you come to the Word, that mirror which we should always be looking at and reflecting upon and having it reflect upon us, the mirror of the Word of God? And when you leave it, do you remember what kind of person you are? Remember back, if you've read James, the very first part of James, it talks about a person being double-minded. He is unstable in all his ways. If you don't have that implanted word, you will always be unstable and double-minded. And if you're not a doer of the word, you will always be unstable and double-minded. You have to be a doer of the word. It has to be there. And the only way you can get it is, we said we're building here, is to have that implanted word. And to get the implanted word, you have to get rid of all filthiness and unrighteousness, because you got to seek God's righteousness. And to start that, you have to be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. Now, I'm sure the next episode is going to have some more of James. So until then, get your face in the Bible.